Welcome to the KM Global Networks track. On behalf of the Society for Knowledge Management in Germany and Austria, I welcome several speakers from around the world, and also my greetings to around the world, and here in Berlin in the Fritz Forum. And I welcome our first curated speakers, Dr. Manfred Bornemann and Dr. Pavel Kraus. So that's your part now.
Thank you, Andreas. I think we start with a very short introduction about the Global Knowledge Week, which was conceived by Moria Levy 3 years ago. And we tried to connect collaborations like the Society for Knowledge Management here in Germany with other communities. And it's quite a vibrant community. We have 15 different countries right now assigned, starting with, for example, Australia, with India, with lots of Israeli and Arab countries, lots of European members, and now reaching out to a new European member, which is in Hungary. We're reaching out to Argentina, which was established on Wednesday. So the community is growing, and similar to here, people are trying to connect and develop communities of practice to exchange their knowledge. And there's another one, obviously, which is the last in the continent travel, which is the United States. So they will have a session today and in the afternoon tomorrow as well. So the Knowledge Global Week is all about raising attention for knowledge management and to connect people like you, like us, in our shared topic of knowledge management, to raise attention for our very important topic and share experiences and maybe create some value. Pavel.
So Manfred, why are we here? What's this all about?
Why are we here? The question is, what is knowledge management, and how can we create attention? It is created by people like all of us, and then C-level is hearing, listening, and somehow the attention is fading away. We are starting, but then it's vanishing. Yeah, we're moving.
Yeah. So we will manage our session like a dialogue. There will be in the middle time for question and answers from you and also from the online community. So
people seem to fail to connect the knowledge management part. They seem to connect the knowledge management to their business reason, to their business priorities. I think the problem is that the pressure is missing and the pain points are missing.
Yeah, and sometimes knowledge managers get fired because their initiative somehow fades away.
So
why is this so?
Why is it? The chief knowledge officers, I think they need to better understand how to connect our business of knowledge management to their prime strategic priorities.
Yeah, it's the objectives, priorities of the executives, and these priorities somehow must be connected to what we know as knowledge managers. So this connect is important.
The question is, how do we come up with a good story? Because storytelling is obviously a big name. Everybody used the term. How do we come up with a good story, Pavel?
Well, first of all, we have to understand we need the storytelling, because this is so intuitive, so clear to understand. And well, because we are launching today the knowledge management storytelling canvas, let's start with a story.
Let's do that.
Okay, so imagine I was working a long time for a technology company, and this company just failed to get traction with the new product in the market. And the issue was really on the side of the head of marketing, because he thought he knew the customers and he knew what they needed, and he has limited the number of customer visits on part of market research people. So this restriction reduced the ability of the company to capture the real needs of the customers. And then sometimes needs were invented or they were distorted. In any way, the research and development, they just didn't develop what the customer needed. And then when the product was launched, they didn't get any traction in the market. And then just really financial difficulties started to appear. And then it was really on the absolute top agenda of the executives. And this is exactly the problem that this company was facing.
But Pavel, the way you present this, I think is very reasonable. Every CEO should understand that. Why is it not working?
Yes, that's the big question which we have struggled a long time. But let's look at it from the other side. Let's look at it from executives, let's say from the CEO side. So I am now a CEO. What I am concerned with? I am concerned with financial results, maybe with compliance issues, reducing risks for the company, or maybe just accelerate performance within my R&D, innovation, whatever. So these are my main concerns.
I think that totally makes sense. I mean, everybody could relate to that. The business results and the viability of a business is important, and managing the risk is important. And at the end of the day, I think that relates to the pain points. For example, if we talk about the viability of an organization, this is about making sure that we have enough liquidity for the next year, right? So in terms of knowledge, innovation, it makes sure we need to make sure that we have enough innovation, enough products to support our product pipeline. And I think on the market side, you mentioned that we have customers, obviously, we need to understand them. And you mentioned that we have the marketing insight already and understand the market. So I think that makes sense already, right?
Yeah. And this really was at the beginning of our project with KMGN. Our project was originally called Business Aligned Knowledge Management. We had quite a long time to understand what business aligned really means or must mean for us. And at the end, we came up with a very simple equation. Well, business aligned means it is securing the survival of an organization or a company.
But unfortunately, isn't it the other way around? Right now, we are moving in a business cycle downhill. Europe is in a crisis. Americas is maybe or not in a crisis. And knowledge management is the first to be cut. Yeah, it's going to be tough, and knowledge management is deleted in the priority list.
Yeah, it's kind of an irony because knowledge management can exactly deal with these issues and it can meet these challenges, but it never gets the chance. And the reason is because we talk about things executives do not care about. We talk about communities of practice, about knowledge sharing platforms, and so on. However, what they care about is, do we secure our financial results? Do we achieve faster development cycles or reduce risk exposure? So we have a complete disconnect in our terms, in our languages.
What you tell me is quite simple. The question now is, if the CEOs know that, why do they still ignore the knowledge management part of us? Why do they still ignore the knowledge management consulting advice? They could easily relate to that and improve it. The consequences are becoming visible everywhere.
Yes, but we sound like irrelevant activity. We sound like an internal initiative which can be cut at any time. And I think that's definitely an issue. We have to become much more critical to the business.
So I see the point. We need to become relevant in the decision-making process of C-level managers. We have to make sure that our teams are not reinventing the wheel. We have to make sure that innovation is running smooth. But the problem is if innovation is failing, if it's stalling, right, because the knowledge is not flowing across our organization, how can we improve that context? How can we improve that situation of not activating, aligning? You mentioned the term aligning the knowledge bases within our organization.
Yeah, we must do something that the executives do not ignore what we do. And because if they ignore it, think about it, they do decisions without the right information. Teams are reinventing the wheel. Innovations effort stall because there is no flow of knowledge across the silos.
So would it help if we connect the C-level objectives with the KPIs, the key performance indicators of these C-level people, and connect our knowledge management activities to that kind of measures?
But did you notice what I have just done? What I talked about? I was just using KM speak.
That's not helping us. That's not really helping us. You know, we have, I think, to make sure that the C-level is supporting our projects. So maybe I didn't get the message. Yeah, maybe we need to reframe it a little bit and make sure that C-level understands us.
Yes, and this is exactly what we have to do, because we have to tell a story they understand and that links their objectives with our knowledge management activities and touches their personal KPIs. And this is kind of what we have to achieve. We have to understand their KPIs, and we just take them by the, how to say, the money by the purse. We look, how do they get their bonus?
So we try to help them achieve their own objectives.
Yeah, their personal objectives, which they usually agree with somebody, with their superiors, once a year, investors, once a year, which are sometimes published. We say if they are not published, we just go to them, we ask them. And in my experience, I got several times, even from the highest management of pharmaceutical companies in Switzerland, I got their personal MBOs. Of course, not all of them, but the main one that we could do something about regarding, let's say, acceleration, innovation, or organizational improvement. They definitely give it to you, because if you can help them, they get their bonus.
I think that sounds quite reasonable. I think if we can help them to reduce product turn rates, and if we can help them to reduce delay times, that is really immediately resonating within their own agendas.
Yeah. So let's go back to the story I was already telling.
Okay.
So let's do it once more. So because we want to illustrate this disconnect. So this product unit in the technology company just failed to launch a new product successfully. It failed in the market.
So it's about financial loss. It's about frustrated R&D people. It's about lack of leadership, isn't it?
Yes. And when the executives analyzed what was the real reason, they found out that it had to do with knowledge, or actually with lack of knowledge at certain points.
So we already know what the market needs. We already know what the customer wants, but we just don't deliver. Is that a kind of translation error? Is it that problem?
It's kind of a delivery error. We would, as knowledge managers, say it's a knowledge transfer.
So the feedback is missing.
Feedback, the flow, and all of that is missing. Yes.
I see.
And let's look at this market manager who failed to really ask people what they wanted. Well, he didn't have access to the know-how of his predecessor. That's why he did this mistake, because in his maybe arrogant way, he thought, well, of course, I know the customer, what they want.
So it's a lack of interpretation. It's an error in connecting that insight of marketing people and connecting it to the decision-making processes, which the employees would have had, but unfortunately the C-level could not include in their own decision-making.
Yeah, and what was the result? It was poor decisions, poor forecast, wrong market potential estimates, and completely overdrawn expectations and wasted marketing expenditures.
So we end up in higher cost, in less productivity, and in an economic disaster situation which could have been avoided.
Exactly, and this is exactly the level of speak executives understand. So we recapped the story. We started with issues with knowledge, and we ended up with something executives really understand. So this is a new way how to make the argument.
So if you summarize that, the question is, how can we make the organization more agile? How can we make it more productive? And how can we reduce the risk for the organization? And I think finally, if the employees are motivated and we can keep the motivation high, then we would be safe. Is it that simple?
No, because you are already much more solution driven.
Okay.
We first have to find a way to communicate with the executives in their terms. And you already started to do solutions. This is too early. And that's why when we come and we talk about already the solutions, we didn't capture the attention. We have to find a simple way to understand the pain points and to deliver a story that links what we can do with their objectives without solutions, solution-free.
So you're suggesting that we as knowledge managers should make ourselves not the first priority, but align ourselves within the business value chain of the organization and support it to improve the business management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because behind every issue is actually somehow a question about knowledge, having the right knowledge at the right time. And this is then our perspective. And what we need to do, we need to bridge these two perspectives. Bridge our knowledge manager perspectives with all our tools, which are of no interest to the executives. We have to make the bridge between what they care about and our capabilities first.
So, Pavel, I think we told a long story already. We lost some people already, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is a pain. Which is a pain. Thank you.
So let's now quickly open the room for discussion, for your feedback, input, questions before we continue and close the deal with the executives.
Oder?
Es wird diesen Würfel geben, bitte immer in die 2 sprechen. Ganz nah. Danke. Der kann geworfen werden. Wer hat sich gemeldet? Hier.
Hey, you were talking about the common language with the CEO. You have spoken about the right information at the right time. And what I'm thinking about is if the arrow isn't one step before. So the CEO needs knowledge management as well. As we can see that the marketing guy could decide by its own if he has sufficient information or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what you need to speak with, but you need a place for the knowledge management in the level of the CEO. You need some people who are doing the strategic management, knowledge management. So they have to be in the round when they are talking. You can't, you can heal what went wrong. You had a break in the leadership, but you need in the beginning because it doesn't help you to solve the problems afterwards.
Yeah, this is a very good point. And about 2 weeks ago, this was exactly discussed in the global knowledge management community. the question was, how do we do a knowledge management strategy? Now, when we look at what we think is the knowledge management strategy is if knowledge management secures the survival of the organization. And that's exactly, again, the bridge to the top management goals and objectives. And we need here a link. And of course, you are right. Somebody has to tell that works like this. Don't talk. They don't hear you. Sorry.
The problem would be that if you have a strategical knowledge management, a strategy for knowledge management, this is after the strategic of the CEO. I think you have to come to join together the overall strategy to make them survive. And at that beginning, you are serving the CEO with strategical knowledge management. It's a different way to support their strategy.
I think the message was that we as knowledge managers should not claim to be the first priority, but trust that C-level people, they go for the whole strategy of the organization. So knowledge management is an element of the overall strategy. And if we present our case to resolve real business problems by knowledge management support, then knowledge management automatically rises in importance. I think we should not claim to have a knowledge management strategy in C-level, because that will be the result of C-level people to act in their own interest. And knowledge management strategy will come as a result. We will not be strong enough to have it positioned in the beginning. It is my experience. Yeah.
So first of all, thank you so much, Manfred and Pavel, for this great visualization. For years now, I tell my students that their knowledge management strategy needs to tell a convincing story. And I really love this picture. And I love this cool name of knowledge management storytelling canvas. So if you allow, I will right away integrate it into my slides for next week's lecture. But I also have a question.
Just before you, hope you already downloaded it for you.
Good. Thank you. How well aligned is it with organizations in the public sector, which normally don't have this strong strategic orientation, at least not in the sense of at the end financial results? So what's the story I tell a German Oberbürgermeister?
We do not really cater only for private companies, because we start very generically. We start with the objectives of the Bürgermeister. And whatever he or she has to achieve, we can take. And that's how we built the whole thing. We had actually this question just a few days ago. How about non-profit, and how about maybe the development assistance organizations? Each of them has some kind of public or of open goals, because and at the end we came about funding. Some of these organizations just to be and are needed to be funded, and that's already an objective. How do you explain to your donors you are worthy of donations of money? So it would work either way. Next question.
I guess that would be me then. Hi. First of all, thank you very much for your dialogue-based approach. I like that very much. What came to my mind actually listening to you guys is that, interestingly, somehow knowledge management is somehow being lost in translation, it seems to me, because whenever you look at the shop floor where things are being produced, when you have goods being manufactured, everybody, even if you're not in knowledge management, if you've never studied Japanese, you have heard the word Kanban, you know what a learning curve is. And interesting, somewhere between the shop floor and the higher levels of the office building next door, this concept of the learning curve, where it is very evident how knowledge equals learning leads to cost reduction over time and therefore improved financial results as well, everything you touched upon, is somehow being lost. So as soon as people start working projects, doing knowledge work, somehow this concept fades so much into the background that that linkage no longer becomes visible and feelable, actually. And I wonder why that is the case, because again, the learning curve concept is so old and so universally considered as to be true in manufacturing, and in fact also in analogous worlds, as in, I don't know, issuing driver's licenses, yeah, in public administration. So for that matter, maybe that is one way of translating again back to the C-levels that you were referring to.
It's not just actually learning. We have this issue of getting lost in many functions of an organization. I have made the experience that once knowledge management becomes practical, you step into a garden of somebody who already is there, be it HR, be it quality, be it project management, process management, and you have to deal with these guys, and you have to be very diplomatic, because you tell them basically you don't do a good job. And I had this difficulty when I started to do professionally knowledge management. At that time with Roche Diagnostics, I had the goal of improving project management in innovation with knowledge management. And I had to deal with very experienced, 20 years of project management experienced people. And we were young, we tell them, you know, we help you with knowledge management. That was a difficult sale.
I like your comment and the learning curve, but you know, there is another maybe false assumption that my own background is management, see, and a little bit of law. So if we take the word risk, which we used a little bit, yeah, in terms of law terminology, risk is something to avoid at all cost, right? And from an entrepreneurial point of view, risk is an opportunity. Right. So the connotation of risk in the management or in the entrepreneurial context is very positive, something to grow. And the other ones say, yeah, that's a pain point. Yeah. So I think the shared understanding, as you suggest, unfortunately, is not the case in all organizations. I see the point, yeah, and it applies. And one might ask why it's not applicable, yeah. But I think one explanation might be our very diverse backgrounds in professional training and our very diverse interpretation of simple terms like risk, for example, or opportunities. Yeah, for me, opportunity is great. Yeah, somebody who wants to keep his process safe, never change a winning team. The opportunity is not attractive. Yeah. And where is my friend Heike? Is she here? No? There are some people who really need to be very safe in hospital and in some waste treatment, for example. Yeah.
Lena, other questions from the?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Any other questions from here?
Yeah, one question maybe. Thanks, both of you. I think it's super smart to not come into the room and already have a strategy. From my experience, C-level people are 100% number driven, and they like a very tangible approach, but we deal with knowledge and it's not very tangible. And you mentioned KPIs, so how do we extract KPIs from intellectual capital?
Mm-hmm. Maybe that will be a good start of our second part, because that's exactly where we want to end up. So let's.
Yeah,
I
would exactly. But I need the mic. Yeah. In between, we shared the microphone. I would just work on the start or on the end of your question, because this is exactly what we realize in our work right now and in our discussion as well, which is just perfect to move on. Now, as if it would have been scripted, you know, how do we identify those pain points? Because this is essentially knowledge management in disguise, isn't it?
Yeah. So how do you mean this?
Well, We need to identify how knowledge in organizations, in processes, in the procedure of educating people and employees is contributing as a part of their everyday job. So we just have to help leaders, as you identified in the comment just a second ago, how to see that, how to make the invisible part of knowledge, the intangible, as you framed it, tangible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is exactly now where our storytelling comes in, because we don't need any fiction. We do not need any knowledge management, blah, blah. We need something very, very concrete. And executives don't care about some abstract models or anything. We need a story, again, as I said, that links their priorities with real outcomes that are measurable.
So we are here.
Yeah, that's exactly where we want to be. So what we have here, we start always with a critical pain point, something that executives care about. It doesn't have to be a CEO. It could be a department head. It could be a division head, anybody who has budget to pay us and to give us some work as knowledge managers. That's what we want at the end. And then we look, how does what endangers exactly this? For example, if we have, and we come back again to our story, we will tell it a few times. You heard it twice, we continue. So we have here the financial risk of this technology organization. And we have next 2 points, and these are, as we heard, product was not accepted by the market, and marketing expenses were too much high because the product anyway failed. Both of these items are very well understandable to the CEO or to the head of business unit. So this is something that they really understand. That's the business perspective. On the bottom here, we have the low experience of the marketing managers. We have the fact that too few customers have been interviewed, or that the real understanding and requirements of the customers were not understood. So here we have the lack of knowledge. That's our level. That's the knowledge perspective. And here in the middle, we just have to fill in what has been lost in between. How did this actually happen? And something that we got a question already before, well, what are these? We talked about, what are these talking points? And this is now something that has to be from the real world. All these talking points have to be events that happened really in the organization and that are very well known to everybody, or at least to the relevant people. And what we do with the canvas, we just make a logical connection from top to bottom, or from bottom to the top. You can go actually anyway.
So what you're saying is now, as knowledge managers, we are not asking for an additional budget for knowledge management, exactly as you framed it, yeah. But we connect to the strategy and identify some problems in the knowledge base, maybe, and then we get maybe a call and an entitlement for our work, but we are not asking directly for the knowledge management budget, but help to resolve a C-level relevant problem.
Yeah, and this framework or this canvas help us to build the story faster. That's where it actually comes in. The research, the collection of these issues, knowledge managers have to do by drinking good coffee with somebody who tells them what happened. And so this you get from the coffee talk, and this you get from your own experience as knowledge managers. because this is what you can fill in very easily.
And isn't then this the role of the knowledge managers, of our role, to maybe help them to better connect those points? I think there's an alignment gap. So far, it's not working because we have a crisis, right?
Yeah.
So how do we resolve it? What is the contribution of the knowledge manager here in detail?
The contribution of the knowledge manager is really to create the logical path from bottom to the top.
So to translate this problem,
yeah,
with that challenge of the C-level.
Exactly. Yeah, and usually, and if you might look at that afterwards, these things are so frequent that there is actually not a big problem to get this material together. You might usually have even too much. That's why we also have these lines here, because one story is only connecting one set of these boxes, of these talking points. So you do not, and by the way, this is not what you show to the executive. This is your homework. This is where you prepare yourself, and from this path, you create the story as we discussed already.
So the secret is just to link these problems in a smart way and a unique and a corporate specific way to the strategic priorities, and to identify and to raise the awareness of the C-level.
Yeah. So let's revisit the story once more.
Fourth time.
4 times. So we go again to the failed launch of the product.
So it was a matter of marketing overspending, right? So they did not understand the marketing feedback, right? And invested even more.
Yeah, but it was not about money. It was about the lack of knowledge.
So we could resolve that if we maybe connect those silos a little bit better and align their business projects and business priorities. Is that what you suggest?
Yeah, I would like to highlight all these decisions along the way and how knowledge was lacked, missing as it went forward.
Okay.
Now, if we do that, then the executives start to listen, because we tell it, and you have now heard various versions, we can tell the story from bottom up or from top to bottom. If we talk about it from top to bottom, then we have captured the attention of the executive.
But Pavel, isn't this exactly what we've been talking with the audience right now, to translate the strategy into knowledge management priorities?
Yeah, this is basically what Sabine told us. Exactly. Here we have strategic goals of the executives, and the issues that have been surfacing end up in a knowledge management issue. And this is exactly what we have to tell them and to explain them in a very simple and logical way.
So the final step would be then to connect our identified track and connect that to the KPIs of the C-level, and tell them, or at least inspire them, how to interpret that as a knowledge problem. And then we get a mandate for knowledge management activities.
Yeah, but I think now we have a small issue, because this is now not a storytelling tool. This is a strategic tool. Maybe we have to rename it. We'll see if we do that.
So it's a matter of involving the C-level in a kind of strategy conversation, and the C-level, by our guidance, will identify that knowledge management is a strategic priority.
And now we come to your question. I don't see your name, sorry. Now we come to the KPIs. We have the KPIs because we take them from the executives. If they have to bring maybe more turnover from a line of products less than 3 years old, that's a very clear innovation metric. And that's what we would aim. Or there are certain milestones in projects, in R&D projects, and we want to meet or beat the milestones that are other objectives. So we do not invent knowledge management objectives, KPIs, sorry. We take those who give us the money and the budget and our jobs.
And wouldn't that change the position of knowledge management entirely? We are not on top and we are not subject to be deleted, but knowledge management in this kind of explanation becomes the center of the strategy.
Yeah, yes, it becomes center of the strategy. We also share the language of the executives, and we have a new link. We have this bridge that I was already talking about.
And now we are no longer at the end of the list where knowledge management usually gets cancelled in the budget priority, but it becomes a kind of priority which C-level people want to have, actually.
Yeah,
it is what they really desire and call for.
It's not nice to have initiatives. It's the bloodline of the organization. And with this story, we will tell them that. And that's exactly where we want to be at the end.
So knowledge management is not any longer something for its own sake, but it's aligned, business aligned, as we tried to suggest in our KMGN conversation in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now we are able to deliver a little bit better.
Yes. And we can also explain it, how our knowledge management activities lead to good business results. And that's, at the end, the business aligned knowledge management, which was the project.
I think that's a wonderful ending point, because in my private journey of knowledge management for the last 20 years, it all is about creating value. So if we tell this story and we are able to deliver that or resolve that pain point, we are delivering value. And part of that value is able to fund our projects and fund our priorities. I think that's a very, very nice and appealing situation.
Actually, you are suggesting something that we've been struggling in Swiss Knowledge Management Forum for a long time. Do we really want to keep the term knowledge management? And now we can rename it. It's the management of knowledge value. Thank you for your attention.
We have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. A few minutes, okay?
Like 3.
3.
Thank you. I think you have an additional value to bring into the process. You find the bottlenecks during the story. And often the CEO have the problem to link in the middle, organizational, unit, functional perspective, the KPIs of himself and his bonus to the KPIs of the second level. And because you know in the story, you extract KPIs for the middle level, this is some service you can give to a CEO as well in the process level. So that the head, the feet, arms, and in the middle, the stomach works together.
That's a very nice point, because of course in here we have also department leaders. We have also department leaders, and we can help them all along the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So also a question about the KPIs. So if you connect the KPIs or the value of lessons learned of knowledge management to the KPIs of the C-level, it can also be that you will not see an improvement because of reasons you can't control, right? So then your value is connected to KPIs that are bad without that knowledge management was the reason for that. So then it's also bad for you and you can't do anything about it. Isn't that a problem?
It would be the problem if we would do it like you suggest, because we would never do anything like lessons learned to link to KPIs. I think this is a critical task of us knowledge managers. We have really to understand these issues here, And with our knowledge management tools, we have to improve these issues. And that's what we talk about. And it is possible. We have done it many times, but it is not about talking about some tools or procedures. You have to improve, for example, project management. You have to look how things are accelerating or how risk is really avoided. And this is what is counting, not any lessons learned or repositories. So it's a real switch in perspective.
May I add another one? Because you mentioned a very important element, which is the default external influences, which we cannot change. But I think, and this is for all of us knowledge managers, we should not forget that knowledge scales wonderfully. So if we, create value from a nugget of knowledge, then the scale effects, the same as for information or data, is available in economic terms. So I think our benefit is much more than 10% or 15% or 20%. I think if knowledge management is really working, productivity in our organization, the value creation capacity is really exploding. So I would take that critique, absolutely. But from knowledge management perspective, my claim for strategy is that we outperform the market if we do that well.
So just a real KPIs. I was once asked to improve managing of resources in a technological department. We improved them by a factor of 4. And I like...
Which is 400.
400%. This is what I like. These are the real KPIs. And it was achieved, it was measured, it was seen as real. Thank you for being here.